What's going on, world? AJ here, and today on AJ Tech, we are going to be taking a look at home network routers and how to properly configure them for security purposes. So, as per usual, get yourself a beverage, or sit back, relax, and let's dive into the world of home network routers. First things first, when it comes to setting up a home network router, when you open up the box, there's going to be an instruction manual. Please use this instruction manual. Please follow the steps on how to connect your device from your modem to whatever it is you're using to get internet access. The bottom of the router will typically have your login information, like network setups that's defaulted. The instruction guide will have that as well. And it will also tell you the IP address that you'll use to log into with the web browser. Another way to find the IP address is simple. We'll go into our command prompt screen here. I'm going to pull this up here, and you just simply type in the command IP config, hit enter, and you're going to get your computer's IP address. You're going to get the gateway default IP address. That's the one you want to look for, is the one that says gateway default or default gateway, however it's worded. That is the one you're going to want to get for the IP address. The IP address is simple. It's 192.168.1.1. It's common. Everybody pretty much has that IP address for their default gateway. Now, your network router may not look like this. This is what mine looks like. Yours can be something completely different depending on the brand of the router that you pick, but the operation is similar, very similar. So just kind of go over what mine shows here. I've got network status right here. It shows that the device is connected to the internet through the router. Green check marks right here. I've got over here the Wi-Fi settings. I've blocked it out because of my network name right there. And also how many devices I have on network right now. I got 7 connected to 5 gigahertz, and I got 3 devices connected to 2.4 gigahertz. This is a dual band router. So I have 2 different type of gigahertz going on with this network. As you can see right here with the network settings, you can technically set this up with different names and passwords for your dual band. I chose to keep it all the same. That's just how I wanted to do it. I just want to keep it as easy as possible, kept them the same. That way they could flip back and forth between the speeds if needed, because the 5 gigahertz is a shorter range and the 2.4 is a longer range. So a little bit of information for you right there. You also, for this one, has parental controls. I can turn that on and off. I can mess up my kids' phone time very easily with the touch of the application that I have installed on my phone. the power that I have. You also have priority right here. I have the upstairs TV ranked as the top priority for streaming until I get it on Ethernet. It's top priority. That way it gets the best signal as much as possible. That way it doesn't affect streaming. You got the similar tools up here, network map. It'll take you to a map that shows all the devices that are connected. You can set up a guest network for those pesky guests that come in and want to use your internet. Ooh, how dare they? How dare they use your home internet? That's why you set up a guest network. I haven't done this, to be quite honest. I really haven't. I probably should. Parental controls, again, you can set that up depending on devices. Priority, again, this is where you can check your internet speed to see how fast you're going with your internet speed. External storage setup, I do have a USB 3.0 port on the back. I could set up storage on it if I wanted to create some sort of network storage over the network. I've played around with it. I'm having troubles with it. I just can't seem to get it to work for some reason. One day I will. One day I will figure it out and get it working. But what we're going to take a look at here today on this episode is router settings. We're going to take a look at the connectivity. I'm not going to worry about the troubleshooting. That's just basically troubleshooting your routers and stuff. If you're having troubles, that's what you go to troubleshoot. All right. We'll go over network settings, Wi-Fi settings and security. So let's get started with the first one, connectivity. Here we are on the connectivity page. This is the only tab we're going to focus on is the basic settings. Again, we're just going to do the basic stuff to get you secure and set up. So right here, you can click edit to edit your Wi-Fi name and password here. I highly, and again, highly recommend you change the default stuff. Please do not leave it with the default stuff that's built in. People can hack into it easily if they have the information. So, especially if they have the same router, they can easily figure these things out. So you want to make sure that you give it a unique, fun name if you want, and give it a strong password. And I would highly recommend changing that Wi-Fi password every so often. I probably should do that. But yes, change that. Router password right down here. You can edit that as well to get into your router systems. You can put your hint right here. Again, change this often as well to ensure that you're secure. Over here under firmware updates, make sure you check for automatic. That way it automatically updates your router. This is the current version it is running. You can click here to check for updates. I just did this recently. I am on the current version, so I'm not going to click on it again. So you want to make sure when you're setting it up for the very first time, check for updates, run those updates for your router. And of course, down here, you got time zone. Select the correct time zone, of course. Automatically adjust for daylight savings and so forth. So again, I'm not really too concerned about these other tabs here. There's kind of a little bit more advanced technical stuff on there. We're not going to dive into that today. Going over to the Wi-Fi settings, this right here, again, it's the same thing under the connectivity. You can change the name and the password of your 2.4 gigahertz band or 5 gigahertz band stuff. Again, I like to keep it the same. That way you can just go kind of back and forth depending on the signal strength where I'm at in the house. You'll also want to make sure for security mode, mine only goes up to WPA2 personal. I would go with that option if you don't have anything higher than WPA2. If you do, if it says WPA3 personal, check that one for your network. Mixed, it can work, but we really recommend just strictly do WPA2 personal. We're not an enterprise. We don't care about enterprises. Don't leave it open. Don't even do it. But make sure you just choose WPA2 personal. And again, the same thing down here. This stuff is kind of defaulted right here. So, and you can also actually turn on and off the type of gigahertz bands if you prefer. I'm going to leave them both on, of course, because that way I got two different connections going on. And that way devices, if they fall off to 5, they could jump over to the 2. So that's kind of how I have mine set up for that. The last thing we're going to talk about is security. This is, again, pretty much been default settings, but you'll just want to double check and ensure your firewall is enabled for IPv4 and IPv6 for your internet protocols. And, I just leave everything else the same as it is. So just want to double check this part mainly right here for firewall and VPN pass-through. Just make sure all that stuff is enabled and ready to go for you. And that's really it that you need to just focus on and worry about when it comes to your home router setups. Is just ensure that you have a strong password. Make sure you change your passwords frequently and often. And just make sure your firmware is updated and make sure your firewalls are enabled and make sure you select the WPA2 or WPA3 depending on your device and so forth. But with that being said, that is it for this episode. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe out there and take care.